Welcome back, everybody, to Meet the Candidate. I thank you for coming here for each one of the shows. What we do here at WWDBTV is every candidate who is running for any office, regardless of their political affiliation, get a chance to come in front of the camera at no charge and tell you, the voter, why they think they should earn your vote. I can't stress enough that when you go into the voting booth, and make sure you go into the voting booth or fill out your ballot, that you go all the way down the ballot. A lot of people get halfway down and then that's it. And these people that are down on the bottom of the ballot are your local people, your judges, your county commissioners, your city council, your mayor, the sheriffs, the board, school boards. These are people that affect your everyday life. And just from potholes out in the street to what's going on at your kid's school, if you get a traffic ticket and you step in front of a judge, it's nice to know that they know what they're doing. So that's why we're here. And today we have a special guest. This is Jesse?
Jesse Addison III.
Jesse Addison III. So there were two more just like you, huh?
And there's two more after me.
All right. And Jesse is running for mayor of North Las Vegas.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, North Las Vegas is the fourth largest city in the state of Nevada?
Yes.
Cool. Who's third?
Ooh. I want to say Henderson, but I'm not sure.
Could be right, yeah. Anyway, okay, so why are you running for mayor? That's always the first question I ask.
And that's always the first question everybody asks,
Good.
even my coworkers and friends. So basically, I saw that there was a lack of leadership in North Las Vegas, and I thought with my life experience and my leadership skills that it was something that I didn't really choose to do. I was more moved to do it.
Okay.
A lot of people, especially the underserved in the community, aren't being taken care of. They're not even being looked at or really even talked about. Everybody's more worried about bringing big business in and trying to grow with the trickle-down theory. And I want to build the city up from the base.
Sounds good. What are your top priorities for the city? What do you think is most important that you want to accomplish?
Well, first of all, like I said, the underserved, making sure they're taken care of. Business, not just big business, but small business owners, and education. So the underserved, for me, of course, you're a veteran like myself.
Yes.
There are a lot of different agencies and organizations in the city that help veterans, but they don't communicate. And so I want to make sure that they all communicate together so that the veterans can be completely served. The big issue that I have right now is fellow veterans that are disabled, that are having a hard time, making their rent, and homeless veterans. There's a huge homeless veteran population here that I've actually helped with before in my last job, and those are the people that I want to help, and as well as elderly people also.
Is the hospital out there, that's within the city limits,
Yes.
is it not?
Yes.
That's not in the county, which most people would think it is, but that's within your city limits
Yes.
there. I get all my medical care from the VA.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say enough about those people out there.
Mm-hmm.
They are, I don't care what's going on in the rest of the country, here in Southern Nevada, these people are absolutely amazing. Every time I have to go into the hospital or the clinic up here, those people really make you feel like they care about you and what you're doing. So this is a big issue. I mean, for all of us, it is for me too. How do you plan to deal with the rising rental rates? What is is there anything that you can do?
Oh, definitely. That's one of the main reasons I'm running for office.
Okay.
Because other people are like hinting at it, but for me, that's a huge issue for me. Because again, there are veterans out there, there are elderly people out there who are trying to decide, do I pay my rent? Do I pay for my medication? Do I eat tonight? Or, do I pay for utilities? And I being a regular person, I don't make a ton of money. That bothers me. And it bothers me that no one is actually talking about it. No one's actually saying, this is what I'm going to do. for me, right off the bat, first day, I'm going to put a freeze to the higher rate increases.
So a moratorium.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I'm going to implement a program to stabilize rents.
Is that something that you can legally do?
Yeah, it should.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I have to.
No doubt you'll get some blowback on that.
Oh, I'm sure.
But if I'm not mistaken, most of the other candidates are also of that same ilk. They agree with that.
Yeah, as far as I know,
Right.
they are saying that they agree with that.
Right.
And so, of course, as mayor, I have to work with the community. I have to work with the council members to make sure that happens. So that's my plan first day.
So everybody says, I'm going to make this better. I'm going to do this better. I'm going to make that better. Do you have some specific ideas or plans or something specific that we can talk about?
As far as the city,
Yeah.
as a whole,
Economically, yeah.
Economically. My biggest thing is, and I just talked to someone with the union just yesterday about this. There was a building project that they put out for bids, and nothing locally was involved with it. Which kind of
When you say was involved with it, you mean there were no local bidders, or
there were some local bidders,
okay,
but not as many bidders as there should have been.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, as North Las Vegas mayor, I want to keep everything local. That's the number one thing, is keeping everything local. Because if we have people that are building here, that's putting more money in those companies' pockets, and
that's going someplace else.
Exactly.
Right.
And that means the more business they get, the more people they can hire locally.
Right.
I want to make sure that small business owners can branch out and grow. I want to make sure that the local citizens that want to start a business, they can, they don't have to worry about all the red tape. They can start a business. So that way the community is getting all of that money. So the people that patronize those businesses, that's helping the community. The people that live in those communities, they can work in those businesses.
Right.
Again, all of that is in the city. So major productions or major builds, I want to make sure that local companies are involved with that. Again, to keep all of that in the economy for North Las Vegas.
Is there a legal way that you can make that a requirement? I've been in construction my whole life. I've dealt with public projects, private projects, Davis-Bacon, the whole ball of wax. And our city projects are also come under the Davis-Bacon, right? Mm-hmm. You have to pay union scale, blah,
Yes.
blah, blah. So that benefits. That's kind of a double-edged sword because it hurts and helps the workers.
Yeah.
However, so can you as mayor legally say, okay, we're going to build this project over here on this piece of land, but to be considered, you must be licensed or you must be a local business?
I don't believe that I can legally make that happen,
Right.
but I want to do as much as I can in my position as the mayor to make sure that more is done locally.
Okay.
So that we're not bringing in business, even from Las Vegas or
Right.
Henderson.
Well, and there are projects that you don't have anybody locally that could handle the project, so you
That's
don't
true.
have a choice there.
That's true.
So yeah, no, I understand that. So most of your opponents, and I hate to use the term opponents, but other people who are running for this office have a little more experience in government than you. How do you think you're going to overcome that?
Well, I mean, I actually do have 14 years federal experience. So between the Navy, TSA, the post office, I have 14 years of experience and leadership experience.
Okay.
Especially as being a vet. You deal with a lot in the military. TSA was the operations supervisor at the airport here, what used to be McCarran.
Right.
So you're talking about thousands of people a day whose lives it was my job to make sure that they were safe. And so in a year, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people. So if I can do that at the airport, I can do that for the city of North Las Vegas. I also have experience in one of the standalone hotels on the Strip as well as in management. So I have a lot of experience leading people, a lot of experience growing people's careers.
So, what do you think is the hardest thing about dealing with the city council?
I think the hardest part with that would be just getting people to see my way of doing things. I'm sure that there are going to be people who will agree with me, but may not be on the same side completely as I am. And then, of course, if I do, become mayor, there are people who are council people that are running, and so they may have an issue with that if they don't win.
Right.
Especially if they know that their political career is pretty much done after this race.
Right.
But I want to work with everybody. I don't want to have any animosity. I want to do what's best for the city. So I want to be able to take their input, have them take my input, and work to make sure that the city prospers and moves forward into a better future.
So the current mayor is running for governor or lieutenant governor? Governor, right?
Governor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your political aspirations?
To be honest, for 25, 30 years, I've always thought about running for office, and this was the first time I felt that I really needed to jump into a race.
Does the city of North Las Vegas, do you have term limits on the mayors?
Yes.
So it's 2 terms?
As far as I know, there's 2 terms. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And so I don't, even though I've thought about other races and other positions, at this time I'm running for North Las Vegas mayor to make sure that the city is taken care of. I'm not thinking about a second term. I would love to have be able to win and then have a second term to make sure that my ideas are come to fruition. But beyond that, I'm not really thinking about moving into another position or running for governor or whatever else. It's mostly to stay here and take care of the city.
So if you were not successful in your bid, would you just say screw it, I'll wait till next time, or would you try to figure out a way that you could help the city without being the mayor?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Like I said, currently I work for the police department. I'm not a cop, but I'm a civilian working for the police department. My job before that was working for the state.
Is this Metro or North Las Vegas?
No, Metro.
Okay.
Yeah. So before that, though, I worked for the state, and I worked in North Las Vegas. And I was the first person in the state to put the most veterans back to work. And so I still talk to my old coworkers and do as much as I can as far as helping vets.
Right.
So I still try to stay active in that.
When you say helping vets, what exactly, in what capacity, what were you doing?
So we had an office. I was with Job Connect. And so we had veterans that came in, and we tried to transition them from the military to civilian life.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then people who were already civilians, trying to help them find better employment. I helped resume writing, helped them with resources as far as if someone couldn't pay bills. And there were times where I actually literally came out of my own pocket to help vets. That's how dedicated I am to that. And then we dealt with a lot of homeless vets as well. So getting them into transitional housing, helping them find jobs as well, even day labor, even that, just to be able to get some money in their pocket.
And I've gone completely blank on his name. The Art Vegas Village, the who has the veteran housing.
Yeah, I know.
All over town.
Yeah.
And I talk to him all the time. Anyway, never mind. Because he has similar situations where they help out veterans. They give them housing, help them get jobs, and coordinate resources. That he does an awesome job. So, how long have you lived in the city of North Las Vegas?
Almost 5 years now, about 4.5 years.
Where were you before then?
I lived in Henderson for about a decade.
Okay.
When I first moved to Las Vegas, I actually lived in North Las Vegas for a while. So I moved to Nevada in '95, and so Henderson and North Las Vegas.
Gotcha. So I lived in North Las Vegas about 138 years ago, when North Las Vegas, I mean, there wasn't much out there, and it was kind of Las Vegas's redheaded stepchild, and they've come a long way. A lot of housing, a lot of businesses have moved there, and the Craig Ranch Park. That's
It's
part
growing,
of.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome now. Yeah. So it is an upcoming, and it was 10 years ago the fastest growing city in the country. It was amazing. So how will you, if you are voted in there and you get the job, and after it's all said and done and you're moving on, what would you like to see as your greatest accomplishment there?
There are a few things that I would like to do that would.
Then let's hear them all.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. When I grew up in Kansas City, we had trade schools, and so children who weren't doing well in school, you could go to a trade school, and that counted towards your credits.
Right, vocational schools, yeah.
Yeah, vocational schools. We don't really have that in Nevada, period, but especially in North Las Vegas. And so that I want to create trade schools.
Well, we used to have VOTEC.
Yeah. And there's a school, I believe it's in North Las Vegas, but it's more of younger adults. It's not
Right.
necessarily for high school kids. But I want to have high school kids be able to go into a VOTEC.
I am a huge proponent of that. Not everybody's meant to go to college.
Exactly.
And this last 10, 15 years has shown us what a mistake that's been. But we still need mechanics, we need plumbers, we need electricians, we need tradespeople, because they are what helps keeps the whole society running.
Yeah.
And there is, and I believe it's Germany. Their attitude is here in this country. Okay, you're a judge. Oh wow, you're cool. Oh, you're a janitor. Oh, you suck. In Germany, no matter what the job, if you have a job, you are still considered a productive member of society, and you carry just as much weight as anybody else. And I think that we need to start focusing on that, and that you are just as valuable. And I told you I'd been in construction most of my life. And at the end of the day, the guys who come in and clean up the job site afterwards and pick up all the trash are just as important as all of the tradesmen. And because if they don't do their job, the tradesmen can't do theirs. And so we need to get away from this, guy who flips burgers isn't worth a damn. And we're seeing that now is there's a worker shortage. No, there is a respect shortage of workers, that you get a better job. Okay, so they go and get a better job, and now there's nobody there to flip your burgers. But
and that's another thing. It's like we see what's going on right now. We have older citizens who are having to go back into the workforce.
Yep.
And they're taking jobs that the younger people used to, typically do. And which, it is what it is, and I understand that. And that's another reason why I want to be able to make sure that the younger people have a trade, have a skill that they can go directly into the workforce, and not something where it's just minimum wage.
Right.
I want them to be able to go into a workforce and
there's nothing wrong with minimum wage if it's a subsistence.
Exactly.
I mean, if you can survive on it,
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
But if you can,
that goes along with right up at the top of your list, the rental rates.
Exactly.
You need to make something like to afford the average apartment, 1-bedroom apartment here. You need to make $43 an hour.
Yeah, I know.
I mean that's what they tell you.
Yeah.
When they so.
But I want these young people to be able to have a skill that they can go right into the workforce, and then that in turn will bring business into North Las Vegas if they know that we have a program set up where these young people are ready to go day one, just straight into the workforce. That's a huge plus. Some of the other things that I want to do as well is because of the rate hikes, I want to, a lot of my opponents, they believe in affordable housing. I do not believe in affordable housing at all. I believe it serves its purpose in some way, but what I'd like to do is have a community of possibly small houses where people like veterans, disabled veterans, elderly, homeless people, we can get them into a program where they have a pathway to own their own houses. And yeah, they're going to be small to start, but at least that's something they can own.
Well, define affordable housing then. What's your definition of affordable housing?
For me, affordable housing is where they have people that are paying rent and they have discounted rent for these houses. My plan is...
You're talking about like Section 8?
Yeah, like a Section 8. That's
right.
What most people are trying to do. I'm trying to get away from that. I want people to be able to have, like I said, a pathway to have their own home.
So you want people to be able to afford a home?
Exactly.
That's affordable housing.
It's
a matter of semantics.
Semantics,
and I bring that up for a reason, because it's affordable housing is something that every working family should be able to afford.
Yes.
A house. Now, you take a renter that's paying $1,500 a month in rent, and they go to buy a home where their payments would be $1,100 or $1,200 a month, but they don't qualify.
Mm-hmm.
But they're already paying the $1,500 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and they're paying it every month. So please tell me the difference. You're buying a house for someone else instead of yourself.
Exactly. And so with this community...
And I know as mayor, there's not much you can do about that.
Well, I mean, you can try to do some things.
Right.
And with my plan, you own this house, and you're making payments on this house.
Right.
So you're not renting this house. To me, that's more of the idea of affordable housing.
Right.
Because they're never going to own these
Right.
houses. But in my program, you are. You're gonna learn a skill if you don't have one. If you have a skill but you want to learn a different one, I want to set up a program where you can do that. I want them. It's going to be self-contained, so they're going to have their own garden. They're going to grow their own foods. Everyone has a job in the community, whether it's going outside to an actual job or learning a trade to help the community grow. That's something that's a huge thing for me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's North Las Vegas is kind of weird in the sense that it has a history that it has attempted to overcome, and it's almost like it's beginning to find itself, its own self-image. And what can you do to help that? What would you do to make that negative image that people have had of North Las Vegas for so far? People who know what's going on don't have that, but there are still people that you say North Las Vegas, What could you do? Have you even thought about it?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
That's another reason why I decided to run, because North Las Vegas, like you said, it's had a stigma to it for some years now. And my opponents, they want to have this thing of branding North Las Vegas. My thing is if you make sure that people have a living wage, they're doing well, businesses are thriving. I'm creating different communities that are good communities to live in. People have a living wage. It's going to be a situation where it's branding itself.
Right.
Of course, I do want to make sure that people outside of North Las Vegas understand that we have a plan for the future, that we're going to move forward and be a better community. But we're going to do that from the ground up. So I want to make sure that the parks are safe. I want to make sure that there's a water park that's built, because we don't have anything like that for families with children. One of the big projects that I would like to create is bring a franchise, a sports franchise in. But it's different than anyone else. Everybody's looking at soccer and whatever else.
Right.
I'd like to have a indoor racetrack for horses, and we have a lot of
Wait. Indoor horse track?
Yes. So you can have racing year round, and
Right.
dog racing as well. Because we've had the NFR here, and we have the equestrian
Right.
situations that happen out
Well,
here.
Henderson used to have a horse track
Yeah.
years ago.
But this one would be totally different.
Right.
'Cause there's
Well,
no-
yeah, that was 50 years ago. 40, 50 years
exactly.
ago.
And
So-
I mean, there's no other place that has an actual indoor racetrack
Right.
for horses, and I think that would be a huge economy boost, not only for the companies that will work on it, but the people that will work there, and bringing people, not just having everybody stop at the Strip and say, "Oh, it's the Strip. Oh, we have the Raiders here."
Well,
Something
the people coming to this town, when you're driving in and you're coming down Las Vegas Boulevard, the highway, not 15, but you're coming
Yes.
down into town, and you see that sign, "Welcome to Las Vegas." Most people, everything on the other side of that sign is Las Vegas. Whether it's Clark County, Henderson, North Las Vegas, Boulder City, Las Vegas, it's all Las Vegas to them.
Yes.
And so I agree with you that rather than focusing on branding North Las Vegas, that you focus on creating a better North Las Vegas.
Exactly.
The old saying that a rich man doesn't need to tell you he's rich. A smart man doesn't need to tell you he's smart. A strong man doesn't need to tell you he's strong. They just are. And if the city focuses on, okay, let's take care of our people, let's build this city, and people will notice. And you'll start having people that, I want to live in North Las Vegas.
Exactly.
They're doing it right.
Exactly.
And you don't have to be out there and spending money and time and effort on, come to North Las Vegas, we're so great, blah, blah, blah. You're doing by example. You're showing people by example, here's what it can be. Here's what you can do. And, maybe it'll wash off on some other people. So.
And that's sort of how I live my life, and that's one of the ways that I try to allow people to understand my race, my decision to run for this office. My opponents, they've been in politics for decades.
Right.
They have high-powered jobs, and they know big people and big names and big money. I'm just a regular person.
Yeah.
I go to work every night. I come home in a day, and I work on my campaign. I understand what it means to be kind of tight on a bill, or if your car breaks down and you're
Right.
like, "Oh, how do I do?" I understand that, and so I live my life like most of the people in North Las Vegas. So I understand the pain that they have. I understand that they need higher wages, and so for me, it's a thing of I just want to do better. And if I do better, the community does better.
Right.
And that's how I live my life, and that's how I run my campaign.
So is there? Do you have any control over the schools within North Las Vegas?
No, and that's one of the things. I can sit down with the superintendent and talk to them about that. But what I'd like to do is have charter schools and trade schools that are publicly and privately funded. So that way it's totally separate from the superintendent and the schools. So that way the public and the parents and the donors have more say in what's going on in those schools, rather than, let's rely on the school system.
But so that means that every charter school could have its own curriculum.
And it's possible.
So this school, you might be getting a different, not necessarily better or worse, but a different education than students in this charter school.
Well, I'd still like, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sure the parents that send their kids to these schools would like to have the option of being able to, okay, if I move closer to this school, I can place my child in this school and it's the same setup. So I would like to try to find a way of making sure that they're at least similar as far as getting the education, but I still want to make sure that they're getting a good education.
So do you support parents being able to send their kids to a different school than the school district that they're in?
I actually do. I ran into that situation with my son. The first day that he was supposed to start high school, they moved me to a different school, and I was not happy about that. So I'm
And may I ask why not?
because it was a brand new school.
Right.
I wanted him to go to Green Valley,
Right.
and they wanted him to go to Del Sol because of zoning. It was a brand new school. I had no information on it, whereas I knew about Green Valley. I did my homework on them, so I wasn't happy. And actually, that year he was unhappy with that school because, again, the growing pains of a new school, and it was just not a good setup. So I understand how, being a parent, you may want your child to go to this school because you know it, or you know people that go to that school, so you believe that they have a better staff, or whatever the reason. But I totally believe that you should be able to send your child to whatever school you want to.
So it's how does a new school then become a good school or a great school
In time?
if nobody wants to send their kids there?
Well, no, and it's
I mean, doesn't that kind of defeat the purpose of public education?
no, and I totally understand that. But you're going to have people that they're going to send their children to that school because it's close to home. So it's going to happen anyway. And so,
But I mean that's the way it is. It's like if you live in this school
Yes.
district, this is a school that your kid goes to,
Yes.
and 9 times out of 10, it's the closest school to you.
exactly.
So-
But if I want my child to go to another school because I believe that school is better equipped for what I want as far as my child.
But why not make this school better?
And that's totally fine. And I tried that for the year that he was in that school, and it's tough when you have people that want to fight against a certain way of thinking, and I
You mean they don't like what's being taught to their kids?
well,
I said it, he didn't.
not necessarily that. I just had the first day of school, there was an issue where there was a teacher who was being berated by the assistant principal. And I defended the teacher to the point where she later contacted me to have me write a statement for her so she could go to the Board of Education.
Right.
And I thought she was a wonderful teacher. She did everything she could to help my son. But the school in general, it wasn't something that I liked for my son. And eventually that teacher actually left that school because of the way that they were treating people.
So what we're lacking then, if I'm hearing this right, is a consistency and quality control
Yes.
within the school district.
Yes. And I understand that you're going to have outliers. You're going to have teachers here and there that aren't going to be good teachers, or they're going to butt heads with students. I understand that. But overall, you need to make sure that your staff, they teach the way they're supposed to teach. They're not supposed to. When I sent my son to school, it wasn't a situation where you were supposed to be a disciplinarian for my son. That's my job.
Right.
I just want you to teach, but I want you to do it in a professional manner. I want you to do it in. I understand you're going to have kids in this class that are going to be, acting out or whatever. Then handle that with those parents of those children. But as far as the staff in general, just be professional. Be pleasant as much as you can, even if you're having a tough day. Have
you ever tried to teach kids, especially in high school?
My son.
I know when I was in high school what I was like.
Yeah,
My teachers were saints. The fact that I even survived.
Well, and my son was a pretty decent kid. He had little troubles here and there, but yeah, I mean, because he wasn't that great in school, I had to teach him it when I came home.
Right.
And so he was getting taught at school and at home. So I understand it, and it's tough. And that's one of the things that I agree with a lot of people is teachers need to be making way more money.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge thing for
Well,
me
we have a shortage anyway.
Yes.
I mean,
You're going to have a shortage when you don't pay well. That's the bottom line.
Right,
of it.
and you don't provide a half decent environment for them to teach in.
Exactly.
I mean, most teachers don't get into it for the money. They get into it because they believe in what they're doing.
Exactly.
And not because they get summers off, because that's a joke and you know it and I know it. But we need to do better there. These are the people that are shaping our children's lives.
Exactly.
And the more educated our population is, the better our country is. And I mean, this is one of my hot buttons. I just we don't teach critical thinking. We teach kids how to pass tests.
Exactly.
That's all we do.
Exactly.
I've had some people say, well, we need to. We should just confine the curriculum to reading, writing, and arithmetic. I don't support that at all. I think that the more we expose our children to within life, the better chance they have of making a good decision about what they want to do, and hence we groom these kids to be go to college. You're not going to be successful unless you go to college. And by the way, here's a loan so you can pay your way through college.
Exactly.
And I know doctors have been paying 15 years and they're still paying on their student loans and stuff. So give them an opportunity to say, oh, wow, I like that.
Yes.
I want to do this.
Yes.
And if they're not exposed to that or science or whatever, how are they going to know?
Exactly.
So,
and that's why I believe in charter schools and, of course, the trade school. Because when they started teaching the test, I was not happy about that.
Yeah.
Because now in every class, PE, you're studying for the test. And so you're not making sure that these children are well-rounded. You're not making sure they're educated.
Right.
You're teaching the test. That's all you're doing. So I want to be able to have schools where you're teaching life skills, actual life skills.
How to change a tire,
Yes.
how to check the oil,
Exactly.
how to balance your checkbook,
Exactly.
those kinds of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how old were you when you joined the military?
Right out of high school, so I was
Okay.
18.
18.
Yes.
And you came from Kansas, you said?
Yes, I was born and raised in Kansas City.
Okay. So out of Kansas, get in the military, and you are now exposed to about as diverse as you can get.
Yes.
All kinds of people from all over the country.
All over the world.
Yeah, that I've proposed this theory a number of times. When a kid turns 12, 13, 14 years old, take them out of school and then take them around the world. And that is part of there. Let them see how the other world lives, what's going on, and we do this universally with other countries. I mean, we do it a little bit with the exchange program.
Exactly.
But my greatest education came from going to different parts of the world and realizing, dude, we're all the same. We want our families to be safe. We want our families to be happy. We just want to get through the day. And I think that we are denying our kids that experience in so many instances. And I love it when I see the diversity. There's a couple of STEM schools. Here's one right up the street here that I think are the greatest thing since peanut butter. Science, technology, education, and mathematics. They are getting a more diverse education and a chance to experience something that, oh wow, I like this. I want to do more of this.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Because
that's off the side track.
That ties into what I was talking about, the charter schools and trade schools. When you see something, when you're going to a regular school, public school, you're being taught just the basics. When you go into a trade school, you can see different. It was just like when we joined the military.
Right.
You took a test, and it told
They said
you
this is
that your list of jobs
right.
that you
Right.
you could do, and so you could go into this job and say, "Oh, I like this," or go into this program, "I don't like this." That's what I want the kids to be able to do.
Right.
If you feel like you might be good as a mechanic, or you might like electronics or plumbing, whatever, learn that skill. So that it's something that you not only enjoy doing, you're going to be able to go right into the workforce and make money at it.
Right.
And that's going to help everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and I totally believe in having kids travel a little bit and see what other countries have to offer, and how their children and people are living lives.
Right. Even if it's just at different schools within the school district.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, or just different parts of the city that they
Yeah.
may not have gotten a chance to see. You know, or going up to Mount Charleston. That's why when I was a kid, we got to go on all these cool field trips. I don't know if they're still doing that in school anymore, but you know.
We did that a lot when
Yeah.
I was going to school, and I know that some of the schools, they do still do that.
Right.
They go to certain places, and I always thought that was a blast. And then, you know, like with my son, he would go to certain things, and my son was just like a lot of, you know, teenagers. I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
But if you have something where you have different
Dude,
options,
I'm 75. I still don't know what I want to do.
I'm a little younger. I'm 51, so and I'm still trying to figure it out too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are, you know.
Right.
But if we can help the young people do that right off the bat, then I think that's better for the community.
If you give them the first 6 or 7 years of their schooling to experience all these different things, and then from there, you know, they can go into academics or, you know, vocation or some of these other things, or, you know, the collegiate, or go to college or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it gives them a better chance to, if you've never had ice cream, how do you know if you're going to like it or not?
Exactly.
You know, I mean, that's kind of stupid, but
it's,
you know, it's like there's certain things you don't want your kids exposed to, but still you want them to be safe.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, don't put that in that wall socket. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Or do, and then you'll not do it again.
Yeah. Anyway, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Because we're kind of running short on time here, and
Yeah, basically, I just want people to realize that I'm a regular person. You're not getting someone who's been in politics for 10, 20 years. You're not getting someone who's an executive who makes six figures. I'm a regular person like most of the people in North Las Vegas. And so with that means I want to help the city to grow, to move forward into a better future. That goes for, you know, the elderly, veterans, the young people. I want to be able to have the city grow as a community, have more money in the community, and be a better city moving forward.
couldn't have said it better myself. But I'm not running. So.
Just
thank you. I appreciate you coming in and taking the time. And all of you out there, I thank you for taking the time to watch these programs. I think it's important that you know who you're voting for and why you're voting for them. And also vote.
Yes, definitely vote.
When you get ready to vote, take somebody with you. Grab a couple of your friends and say, come on, we're all going to vote. Have a voting party. That'd be great, right?
Exactly.
Have big voting parties?
People have done that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So.
And you can go onto my website. It's Jesse Addison. That's JESSE Addison, ADDISON, 3.com. You can go on there and just, look at my bio, my experience, and hopefully you'll vote for me.
Great. Thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
And thank you again. And like I always say, if you're going to do it with styles.